welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today I'm going to be showing how we can use our smaller stamps to create some really interesting effects on our cards. And to do this I'm going to use this Textures by Lou Collins Everyday Autumn Art stamp set that comes in this month's Creative Stamping magazine. So it's a really lovely autumnal stamp set with loads of like mushrooms and fruit and flowers, leaves, pumpkins. It's really beautiful. So for my first card we're going to do an emboss resist technique but on coloured cardstock. So I've got this green 5x5 inch square piece of cardstock. So then I'm going to heat emboss a pattern of leaves across this piece. And I'm just using these 2 leaves. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder. So this is the Clear Gloss Superfine embossing powder from Wow. And you can see that because it's a superfine embossing powder, it picks up all of those details. And I think that's a really nice way of doing a tone-on-tone background as well. But I'm actually going to add some more ink to this. So I'm going to take my Altenew Olive and Moss inks. I'm going to grab a blending brush and just add them over this. So then I'm going to use this kind of floral piece with the blackberries as my focal image for this. So I'm going to stamp that on some white cardstock and then I can go and colour that in. So then I've coloured this and I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. I'm going to use Happy Birthday sentiment. And I'm going to cut around there. So then we've got our panel, which I think makes a really pretty subtle background to that. It gives a lot of kind of like texture and depth to it. Then I've cut this frame from gold cardstock just using 2 square dies. And then we've got our flower and our sentiment. So I'm just going to build that up on top of this 5x5 card blank. Then I'm going to pop this and my sentiment up on foam pads. You'll notice on a lot of the things I make, I like turn it over and it's got something on the back. And that's usually something like where I've used a stamp for the first time and it's not printed quite nicely enough or something like that. But that's the best thing about paper, you can always just turn it over and use it again. So then there's my finished card. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So then for my next card, I've got a 5x3 3/4 inch piece of cardstock. I'm just going to place these here just to check the layout. And then I want to heat emboss a bunch of pumpkins onto here. So I'm going to put this one here for guide, and then I'm going to create a pattern around that of other pumpkins. I'm going to heat emboss those in gold. So then to create a bit more of pattern, I'm going to take my Wow embossing pen and I'm just going to add some little sets of 3 dots in between the pumpkins. So then I'm just going to grab my gold Karin marker and I'm just going to add just a little bit of texture to these pumpkins. I don't want to take away from the main image, so I don't want to do too much, but just a little to kind of lift them off the page a bit. So then I'm going to layer up my pieces. So I've got a piece of gold cardstock that's 1/8 of an inch bigger than this orange piece. And then I'm going to layer that onto a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch top folding card base. And then I'm going to pop some foam pads behind my pumpkin and behind my sentiment. And then I can pop those up on here. And I'm just going to add some of these Spellbinders Fashion Gold gems. And then that's that card done. So for my next card, I've got two 5-inch hexagons, a 4 1/4 inch hexagon in gold, and a 4-inch hexagon in the white. And I'm going to take the small hexagon and I'm going to add some ink to it. And I'm going to add some of this Autumn Blaze ink. And I'm also going to add some olive ink. These are alternate inks. And I'm not worried about how this looks really. I'm just adding colour. You can see like there's a couple of bits here where I've got a bit of ink on my hand. And I'm not going to make it nice and smooth because we're going to end up covering a lot of it anyway. So it really doesn't matter how it looks at this stage. We just want the colour on there. So then I've stamped a pattern of leaves across that and covered it in clear embossing powder. And then I'm just going to heat set it. And then I'm going to go in with my black ink and just cover that with black ink. And you can see that that really brings out those colours from behind. You can't tell that that was really kind of messy ink blending. So then I've just scored across one of my large hexagons at 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to add some glue above that fold. And then I'm going to add the other one on top to make our card base. So then I'm just going to add on those hexagons. And then I've stamped and coloured this little wreath and I've heat embossed this Thankful for All the Good Things. I'm just going to pop those up on some foam pads. And there's our cute card finished. So then for this next card we're going to create a cute, quick and simple card. So I've got a 3-inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of cardstock, and then I've coloured all these mushrooms. So I heat embossed those in black and then coloured them. And these are ones are coloured using my Karin markers. And then I'm going to cut off these edges. Then I'm going to use this Grateful for All You Do stamp. I'm just going to heat emboss it in black onto this scrap of white cardstock. So then I can glue all our pieces together. So I've got this panel, then I've got a piece of black cardstock that is 1/8 of an inch bigger than it. Then I've got a 4 1/4 inch by 5 1/2 inch red top folding card blank. And then I'm going to add on our little sentiment. And there's our finished card. That's really cute. Then for our final card, I'm going to take this small flower and I'm just going to stamp it right across the front of a 5-inch square card blank. So then I want to do a bit of spotlight colouring on this, so I'm going to use this frame, and I've just cut that using 2 square dies. So then I'm just going to draw with a pencil inside the frame, and then I'm only going to colour inside that pencil line. So then I've got that coloured, and I've heat embossed that happy birthday sentiment on some red cardstock with black embossing powder. So I'm just going to glue that to this piece of black cardstock that's slightly bigger than it. And then I'm going to just erase this pencil line. And we're going to add on our frame. And then I'm going to use some foam pads to pop up our sentiment. And then we've got that really pretty card. Then there we've got all 5 of today's cards. I really hope that they've given you some new ideas for things to do with your small stamps. Please do let me know in the comments below which is your favourite. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.